The coronavirus is a pandemic.
We have no immunity to this virus. We have no vaccines for the virus.
You have to start taking seriously what you can do.
More than 300,000 cases of COVID-19 have now been reported to WHO.
Liberty University is one of the largest private Christian schools in the United States. However, the school has found itself in some hot water recently surrounding a controversial decision amid growing concerns regarding the outbreak of the deadly COVID-19 virus, more commonly referred to as the coronavirus, which at the making of this video has claimed over 27,000 lives worldwide. Many colleges and universities across the country are closing their doors, except for one.
But one university is bringing students back to campus during this crisis.
Liberty University remaining open.
Liberty University, led by President Trump's strong ally Jerry Falwell Jr., is reopening its doors.
But that is very different from inviting students to leave their homes and come back to campus.
Despite these growing health concerns, Liberty University, run by President Jerry Falwell Jr., has decided to remain open to any student who wishes to return for the spring semester, sparking outcry from the media, students, and even faculty members. While President Falwell is no stranger to controversy, he's also been the target of false reporting in the past, and much of the reporting regarding Liberty's decision has been rife with conjecture, misinformation, and flat-out lies. Because of this, I decided to get to the bottom of things and go to Liberty myself to see what is true and what is outrage. My name is Jonah Lackey. I've been a journalist for a little over 2 years now, and I have a love of in-person, on-the-ground reporting. Over the course of the next few days, I'll be touring Liberty myself, interviewing students and staff members, and showing you guys what's actually going on here at Liberty. Are the reports true? Is the school throwing caution to the wind and putting its students, faculty, and the greater Lynchburg area at a severe risk?
Overall, I think people are not contained on Liberty.
Or is it all just fear-mongering? And is the school actually taking all necessary precautions to keep everyone safe and healthy?
They definitely, they're following, like I said, all the guidelines by the government.
I intend to find out. Alright, so it's currently around 12:30 p.m. I just got back to campus. I'm driving up now, and I'm gonna go unpack, get settled, and then kind of just walk around and see how things are going, and then hopefully find some people who are willing to talk to us. So I'll pick you back up when I get back to my dorm. Parking lot's actually a little more full, at least up here by the dorms, than I thought it would be. I don't know how many of these students just left their cars here, but seems to be a decent number of people back. But as you can see, the overflow lot is basically empty, which I've actually never seen. Hello? Hello? So it looks like I'm the only person in my quad who decided to come back. Whether or not that was a good decision on my part is yet to be seen. My first order of business upon arriving at Liberty was to email several students, staff members, and faculty members to see if they would be willing to sit down with me for an interview via Skype to hear their thoughts and opinions on the developing situation. The first people I reached out to were Carrie Julian, a commuter student and Lynchburg resident, and Trey Burns, an employee at one of the on-campus restaurants.
So I have a house here in Lynchburg, and I live here. This is my home. I have a cat. I have my entire pantry and fridge stocked with food. I mean, it'd be weird to just abandon my house just to go stay with my parents for a little while, especially because they're more at risk at catching something than I am. So even if I were to come in contact with someone like at the grocery store or something, I wouldn't really want to go see them if they might catch something. So it makes more sense for me to stay here where I live.
I am a ship lead at the Starbucks in the JFL library. I live off campus though, but I still have to go to campus every day to work.
First and foremost, are you guys safe? You guys healthy? How you doing?
I'm feeling pretty healthy. I have not left my house in 6 days, but it's fine. I think I'll go grocery shopping tomorrow, but I've been feeling fine. No one in my immediate circle of friends or family is feeling bad. So overall, it doesn't seem like COVID-19's really touched Lynchburg that much.
Yeah, I am. I don't know, just seasonal allergies, waking up every morning being like, is this it? Or is this just allergies,
Has it finally come?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that everyone's like, I can't breathe. Great. This is it.
Now, I want to get right into this. So, very briefly, how do you guys feel about the coronavirus and the school's overall response to it?
I feel that the school has been underreacting in a way, and they've been very slow in giving updates. I think that they should not have waited until a quarter, halfway through break to actually start saying, hey, we're going to move classes online. Because I know a lot of students who they wanted to go back home, but the people that they were going to carpool with, they couldn't tell them, like, hey, I need to go back home because we're moving classes online, because they were already leaving, and those people who needed rides were going to stay for that week at Liberty if it was only going to be that week, and then classes were going to start up the following week. But if things were going to be moved online, they wanted to get home, and unfortunately they couldn't, and many of those families can't afford plane tickets. So I feel that they inconvenience many of their students with their plans to either go home or do something for spring break.
I think it's definitely scary. It's kind of crazy that we're living through something right now like that, in our lifetime. And I don't know, the school, I feel like they're doing the bare minimum almost. They're following all the guidelines, and there's that article about how the health code person, they didn't find anything wrong, we were following all the rules, but I feel like that's the bare minimum that we're doing, and there could be more, and there could have been some more proactive measures taken, because it was out a long time before they started taking those measures. I feel like they just didn't handle it quick enough.
Now, to your guys' knowledge, what are some of the steps that Liberty University is taking to keep its students both safe and healthy?
Well, I believe that most of what they're doing is actually good, such as what they're doing with meals. They're actually enforcing that only 10 people can be in a vicinity where they're giving out meals. They're mostly doing takeout, and I think that's a smart response. And I also heard through the grapevine that this girl was exposed to COVID-19 when she went to New York City, lives on East, and apparently her and her quad mates are quarantined in their quad until 14 days are up to prevent her coming into contact, or any of them coming into contact with other students, just to be on the safe side, which I think is smart. But I have to argue that them letting whoever wants to live on campus was not a smart idea. I think that they responded well in allowing the international students, people who can't go home because of travel restrictions. That's great that we're providing a place for them to stay, because they'd be in a really tough predicament otherwise. And I know many other schools like Harvard and other schools have not responded in that graceful way. But I think a lot of students of the ones who are here have stayed for social reasons. I know quite a few myself. And I don't think that's smart. I think that those people who might have gone somewhere for spring break, somewhere fun, like New York, Florida, Bahamas, I don't think those people should be allowed to come back to the Lynchburg area, where a lot of people are kind of not economically stable and can't afford to just quit work for 14 days if they're still working, have to deal with the medical bills if they actually catch something. And I just don't think staying because you feel like you're obligated to, because you paid for this and because you don't want to leave your friends, I don't think that's a good enough excuse.
They definitely, they're following, like I said, all the guidelines by the government. At work, we have a security guard on post that they don't allow more than 10 people into our cafe at a time. And I know they're doing that with the Raw and Hey Cow, all the few places, and they closed a lot of places. But other than that, that's that's what they're doing, because that's what the government has told them to do. But they haven't really done much more.
Now, in your guys' opinion, do you think the school is doing enough to kind of keep students safe, or do you think that they should be doing more?
I think that they're trying, but I think there is more they could be doing. I feel that what they're doing with meals is smart. It's good that they're keeping their dining services open for people who are stuck or are staying on campus, because everyone needs to eat, and it's a little safer to go somewhere and grab a meal for takeout on campus instead of walking out, finding something like to do on Wards Road or driving out there and coming into contact with people. I have not gone on campus to grab anything to eat. So I'm not sure how things are being handled with like the workers at some of these places. Like, are they having contact with students? What are they doing outside of campus? And it's just overall scary, the idea of like human contact going on, potentially getting spread from person to person. I think that because Virginia has been one of the states with the least amount of cases, at least right now so far, I think that we don't necessarily need to take the precautions that states like New York and Michigan, I think, are having to take because they have a lot more cases. But I think that we still should be practicing liberty and social interaction when we can and distancing ourselves just to protect others, ourselves, people that we might come into contact with in the future. You never know what's going to happen.
I mean, I understand like some people need to stay here, and like especially like international students or people from like New York, California that can't really go home. But right now, like there are so many people on campus still, like, and I know the number is only like just over 1,000, but when you look outside, like when I work at Starbucks and I look outside and I just see like 15, 20 people sitting on the steps of Montview, like that just seems kind of really ridiculous to me. Like I think they allow too many people to come back.
How has the school been regarding passing down information through the proper channels and the chains of command? Do you feel well informed? Do you think they're doing a good job of informing students?
Well, I feel like they've been slow in making decisions, but when they do make decisions, I mostly find it through social media. I mean, it's pretty instant, whether you're getting it through email, whether you're rapidly checking the school's official site, or if you're seeing it on Jerry or Nasser's Twitters. I mean, the information is getting out. And I mean, some might argue like, oh, we need to get official mass texts or emails quicker because they're complaining because they saw it on Twitter or Facebook first. But I mean, you're still getting the information. So I'd say that overall their response times once they do make a decision has been pretty good. But as for making the decisions, they need to get faster, more on the ball about this.
I think they have done a good job, and especially, I don't know, my boss himself has done a really good job about, like, you know, he's been like, okay, we have I'm going to a meeting with all the other managers today to discuss, like, our hours of operation, like, what stuff, like, we personally as, like Sodexo has to take to keep things going and everything. So he's been really good about, like, and, like, from that, it seems like it trickles down really well, I guess. Like, as long as the person above me knows what's going on, I tend to know. Usually the same day, too. You know, like, I've gotten quite a few updates as the week has gone by, and, like, it's been, like, we even talked about it's been, like, weird thing, like, week to week, but it's really been, like, day to day, hour to hour kind of changes happening just on campus, and so it's kind of how we have to take it. And I think they've done a really good job of keeping us informed. I know there's like the page on Liberty's website, and that even if they don't have an update, they still put something on there, or like even if it's like stays the same, it still says it's been updated, you know, like at least twice a day. So that's been really good.
Now I want to kind of touch on Liberty's official response to the coronavirus and the response to a lot of the media flack they've been receiving. In their official statement, they said, quote, Liberty University has been and will continue to be in compliance with all of Virginia Governor Ralph Northam's directives, as well as all applicable federal guidance. How have you seen this yourself being carried out on campus?
Well, I know that Jerry Falwell has been adjusting all of his stances, not based on how he feels about the coronavirus, but how government officials are kind of forcing him to. So I would say that Liberty is doing what they can. I know that they've now made it so that faculty members teach from home. They've done the thing with the meal services where they can only allow 10 people. They've pretty much done some things with accordance, but that's not stopping students from still gathering and hanging out in groups. And I mean, I don't think the school can monitor everyone's social interactions with each other. I think that's up to the students. And I think they've done what they can for who's there in terms of meal planning, preventing like people from going into areas. I think the library's closed and some other buildings that people can't go into. However, with the fact that they allowed people to return just because they wanted to, such as like I know some people who literally only came for social reasons, I think that's something they could have changed. that they could have limited. I know that they spread out people by moving their dorms so that there was like no more than 10 people on like a floor of the commons, or a certain amount of people like in a quad. But overall, I think they could have had extra precautions in who they allowed to return.
I know they closed down the gyms and everything, which is really good in like those places. But other than that, like once you like step outside of the library or Montbureau or whatever, it's like no rules almost. Like the other day, like a bunch of people came in and then they went right outside and they pushed all the tables together, and there's like 15 of them just sitting around a table, you know. So like once they're outside of a building, it seems like there's like you don't have to follow the rules almost, which I think is kind of counterproductive, because even though you're outside, like you're still right next to somebody, you're still going to be able to pass it on. And I don't know if you saw like the BuzzFeed article that was posted, but like they talked a lot about how like you still see people like jogging next to each other, and so it's just.
Do you think that has more to do with the state of the students' mindset regarding COVID-19, or do you think that has more to do with the school not implementing rules enough?
Yeah, I definitely do think. I mean, a lot of it does fall into the students. Like if they cared more, it's just like kind of like a lot of people's mindset is they don't really care too much. Like they think they're immune to it, But I think that also does stem from the fact that they have been being told, since the start that like, oh, like you might get it, but you're not going to die from it. Like we're not the, people that it affects the most. But I think a lot of that's false, because I've been reading things about how the majority of people that have passed away from it are like the 18 to 50 range of people. So I think the reason like a lot of them kind of have the mindset is because they've been told that their mindset is correct. Like kind of been passed on that mindset.
Now, I'm sure by now you've either read or at least heard about the open letter to the board of directors written by Dr. Mary Beth Davis Baggett that was published in Religion News Service. Have you read this letter? And if so, what are your thoughts on it?
I haven't read the full thing, but I've seen quotes from it and like what people are saying. Didn't she also come out with one that said like how a lot of the media was twisting what she said as well?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so like I should go and read it to pick up my own sense, but like I've been
I skimmed it originally, and then I hadn't given it much thought, and then Jerry Falwell tweeted back saying something like, "That Baggett woman," and I was like, wow, that's really rough. I wonder what she wrote actually. And then I went back and really read it. I reread it actually right before we FaceTimed, and I had some points to make on it. A lot of things that she touched on in her article have changed. Like, she mentioned that professors have to hold in-person office hours. Well, at least I know with my professors, they have banned office hours. They're not on campus. They're teaching from home, which is, I think, the smart move to do. But, so I don't think that's accurate information that they're having to hold office hours, but I can only speak for my department and my professors.
And I can say this too. I've reached out to several of the professors, including some of the higher-ups, for comment. And I know that Professor Baggett has gone on record in saying that the media has been taking a lot of what she said out of context, and that it wasn't meant as kind of like an attack piece on Jerry Falwell or their board, more of just like, hey, this is my opinion, this is how I feel, and I think you guys should take this into a content. So I want to go ahead and put that out on record for anybody watching, and also for you as well.
Definitely. I do agree that a lot of people in the media are taking things out of context to make it seem like liberty is a dictatorship, but you also have to remember it's run by people, and a good amount of those people are reasonable and want people to stay safe. I would still argue that there are many things to critique about how liberty is being run in terms of this virus, but it's not as horrible as people are making it out to be. I'd say I agree with one of Baggett's statements. She was talking about how Jerry Falwell has only been making decisions based off of what the government officials are making him do, whether it's statewide or nationwide, and I'd say that's true. I don't think he's taking the virus seriously and making his decisions based off of how he feels the virus might affect faculty and students, but I think he's making these decisions based off of what he's being forced to do. And I mean, that is his right to an opinion, but I just don't agree with how he's going about things. And I don't agree with how he's attacking people on Twitter. I believe he called a parent of 3 students a dummy for suggesting that he isn't making the right decisions. And I don't think that's right. So I would say that I definitely agree that some parts of her article are up to date, such as how she addressed how Jerry Falwell's handling some of these things. And then other things probably need to be updated, such as how she was critiquing how some professors have to stay on campus. So, I mean, it's depends on how you look at it, but there's a lot of things that are today are inaccurate, and then other things that I'd say are still accurate. I overall agreed with what she was saying.
Now, there's one specific quote in the letter that I want to spend a little more time on. In the letter, Baggett writes, quote, "Liberty is not a bubble where the virus would be contained. Instead, its population comes into regular contact with those in the Lynchburg community, putting their health and lives at risk as well." What is your response to that? What do you have to say about that?
Liberty's not a bubble. I think that people are regularly going off campus, whether it's to run errands to the grocery store or to travel in groups with their friends, either off campus or on campus for church fellowships, or if they're still doing volunteer work. A lot of people are still going out and doing things, and they're not staying on campus. And I mean, again, that is their right as an adult. And Liberty can argue that they have no control over that, other than the fact they could have made it so that only people who couldn't return home could stay on campus. But overall, I think people are not contained on Liberty. I think that they are at risk to the Lynchburg population. However, there isn't much we can do about that. People are going to interact even when we don't want them to. And I know that some churches have closed their services, and even the Pope has issued a decree it's okay to not be holding services, whether you're Catholic or not. But I think that for the churches and volunteer groups and Bible study groups that are still going on, I think a lot of Liberty students are still actively participating and gathering in groups, possibly 10 or more. We don't know. But I will definitely say that while I can't give specific examples, right now of exact people going to exact certain groups or studies right now, Liberty's not contained.
Yeah, I think it's just they don't, especially when I come to campus as, work and that's my own thing. If I didn't want to, I wouldn't have to. You know what I mean? But it's just those types of things. Students still have to go to Walmart. They still have to go, out and do stuff. Like I said, we know they're sitting on campus, so they're probably also leaving campus too and doing things. So I think it is more of a concern because I don't know, a lot of Lynchburg students or Liberty students, they have a lot to do in the Lynchburg community. And they we're active members of the community as Liberty students. So I think it is a threat to the whole, city of Lynchburg.
Do you think that the school should be taking measures to sort of distance Liberty students from going out and discouraging them from leaving campus unless they have to? Or do you think that's something that the students themselves as adults should take responsibility upon themselves?
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of the thought I struggled with is they should be smarter and more proactive themselves to not go out and do that type of things, and they should be taking this more seriously. But again, they're being told not to take it so seriously. So, I mean, I feel they're not, as college students know, they still want to be free and wild or whatever. So until they're told they can't, they're going to just keep doing it,
After talking to these students, I feel like I now have a better understanding about the current situation here and how the student body feels about it. While it's clear that the school can be doing more, it's also clear that much of the sensational journalism is false. The school is monitoring the situation very closely and taking all government mandates seriously. While it's true that many of the students themselves may not be taking the situation seriously, that's hardly the school's fault, because, as many viral videos have proven, that's not a Liberty-specific problem, as young people across the country aren't taking the virus as serious as they should. While it can be argued that the school is complacent in this behavior by allowing students to come back in the first place, I hardly think that that's fair, as it's likely that these students would be a danger to themselves and others no matter where they were. We all have to take our own health upon ourselves and make sure we're doing everything we can as individuals. To end our interview, I asked both Carrie and Trey if there was anything that they would say to the school's leaders if they had the chance.
I don't know, I guess just continual prayer. Like, I'm sure, you know, and I don't know if you saw, did his brother just pass away? Did they too? I think so. Like, I'm sure right now is like a wild time for him, and I guess just thank him, because I'm sure things are not easy right now, because he's not only battling this, he's battling his own life and stuff like that. So yeah, I think we need a presence like his on campus all the time, you know, just like praying over it. And like, just I'm glad I've seen on Twitter stuff that he's continually like raised up the students and stuff, and like been constantly praying and like, you know, influencing students. So that's been really good to see.
I would say that I recognize they're definitely in a tough spot right now in making decisions. They're going to be critiqued no matter what. They're going to have people who argue they're not doing enough, and they're going to have people arguing that they're doing too much and they're overreacting. You have many people who are underreacting and overreacting to this virus who are going to judge their decisions. But I think they need to ask themselves, if they had kids at these universities, if they do, how would they feel about their kids interacting with other kids who have potentially traveled? How would they feel about the way that they're being taught and conditions? What would they want as a parent? And if they were a student, how do you think they would feel? I want them to put themselves into our shoes, into our parents' shoes, into the public of Lynchburg's shoes about how they feel about Liberty students returning. I think that if they take a moment to think outside of the university's like desires and needs, and think about the people who make up the university, the professors, the students, and then the community of Lynchburg, I think they might have a different opinion on what they're doing.
And with that, I decided to shift my investigation from the students to the RAs to get their opinions on the situation as leaders here on campus.